This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
All right. There he is, the man, the myth, the legend that is Andy Behrens, and he adjusted with us because we had to do an afternoon show today here at Hialeah Park since we take off to the Combine tomorrow. How you doing, my man? You doing all right?
I'm good. Yeah. Traveling over the weekend. I was in Boston. That was kind of exciting. My daughter had a track meet. That was fun. So I'm back.
Nice.
I'm in place here. I'm good to go.
How'd she do?
Great. She did great. She's a distance runner. Broke 17 minutes in the 5K for the first time, which is crazy and unrelatable to me. Really impressed with her right at this moment. I'm always impressed with her generally, but I'm really.
She's just a little bit ahead of me because I can probably do 17 hours in the 5K. Okay.
Yeah, it's just a stupid thing to watch, and it's a stupid thing to contemplate, and I could never.
Yeah, no, it's long distance runners. You got to give them major props. All right, can you help me out here? So Byron Jones. Okay, so he says he can't run and jump. But then when they ask him, so are you retiring? No, I'm not retiring. And then he wants to warn everybody about the pills and everything else that went on in the NFL. It's 2023. Did Byron Jones not know what he was getting himself into? Like, dude, you're not enlightening anybody. We kind of know that if you play football, you're not coming out of it healthy, dude. Like, what did you think was going to happen when you were taking these pills or anything? I just love how, and I get what he's doing. He's trying to justify why he's been out all year. He waited till March to have his surgery instead of having it right after the season ended last year. So then that dragged on, and then he never got onto the field. And so now he's talking about how he can't run and he can't jump, but I'm not retiring. And it's like, so wait a minute, dude. So what are you doing? And then he wants to warn us about the dangers of football. Like, dude, what is this? Like 1980? Like, we already all know the dangers of football, dude. We know they give you drugs to mask the injuries. We know that you shoot yourself up. We know that you play hurt. We know that you won't come out of the game normal. That's not breaking any news, dude. Like, a coal miner knows that his lungs aren't going to be the same when he's done doing that for decades. You know, a teacher knows she's probably not going to be very sane after teaching for 20 or 30 years and dealing with all these punks. You know what I mean? Give me a break, dude. It's just like, it's almost like a PR move to get some sympathy almost from what I see more than anything else. But your thoughts?
Yeah, it's not particularly revelatory, right? I am sympathetic to anyone who, when they were, I get it when all of us, no matter, most of us are not athletes at the level that Byron Jones or anyone comparable, certainly, but like when you're 20, 21, it is super easy to say, well, that'll never be me, right? Like
You're invincible.
Yeah, you're absolutely indestructible, and the NFL will obviously teach you very quickly that no, you're plenty destructible, because that's what we do here, right? We slam into each other at high speeds, and we are unnaturally
So you end
large.
up like the guy. You end up like the guy in GoldenEye. I am invincible. And then the stuff falls on you and you become stone. Yes, exactly.
It's also like, it shouldn't, at this point, after, how have we not learned this lesson? Oh, I'm sure we have. Most people know that, like,
no, Byron didn't know. He
doctors, doctors affiliated with teams are obviously on different timelines than it's not, you're not necessarily the primary care physician for the individual, right? And perhaps in the moment, you are not at halftime of a game where your employer, the Miami Dolphins or whichever NFL team, is like, hey, we need this guy. You're not thinking about the long time horizon for the individual player. It has always been that way. It's getting better incrementally, maybe, but teams are certainly going to resist it. Coaches are certainly going to resist it because they weren't brought up in it. Obviously painkiller, like, talk to anybody who's ever played in the NFL. Painkillers are simply a fact of life. It's the same it's the same at every other, like, money making level of the sport. It's not new. It's not a great revelation.
Alcohol is nothing new to teachers all over the world.
Right. right. Exactly. Yeah, it's man. But I was actually I was just reading an article on Byron Jones, by the way, that called him the world long jump record holder, which like I hate reading as a fan of track and field. Let me just tell you, I hate reading stuff like that because Byron Jones is not the world record holder in the long jump. He has like an unofficial record in the combine broad jump, which has
Right.
not been a track event in like 100 years anyway. He was tremendously athletic, but it should not be a big revelation to anybody that if there's one thing that will wreck your athleticism in a hurry, it is NFL football. Of course it is.
Yeah, I just find it funny that the way he's phrasing all of this, trying to break news to us. Like, yeah, dude, we know all football players are screwed up when they're done
Yeah.
playing. That's part of the game. And if you didn't know that you were going to be all screwed up, then I got some issues with you. By the way, I want to congratulate your Bears. So they've now decided not to trade Justin Fields. Oh, okay, great. Yes, that's fantastic. I mean, where was that even a thought? Like, how would you give up? Look, if you want to give up on Zach Milf Wilson, I got no problem with that. I understand the kid's been immature. He hasn't handled anything the right way for 2 years, and he can't even play. Okay, so you want to give up on him? Still kind of early, but I get that one. I understand. Justin Fields has been a rock for you, bro.
I don't think the Bears just came to this decision, by the way. I think we're seeing some reporting on it right now.
Why would it even be brought up? Why would it even be thought of at this point? You got to give this kid a chance to grow. He's got all the ability in the world, and he's really a good kid. So he's not like Kyler Murray that he's not going to study and not going to work hard. He's actually the polar opposite of that.
Yeah.
So he has the work ethic. He has the incredible talent. Okay, you and I, we've talked about this. Do I worry about his accuracy? Of course I do. But look at Jalen Hurts. It can be worked on. It can be perfected a little bit more. And so you got to give him time. The fact that this was even a conversation. In fact, I got to tell you something. If I owned the Bears and I was in the front office and somebody said, "Hey, well, maybe we should think about trading Justin Fields," I would have punched the guy out right there and then, just right there, and then tell him, "You're fired. Get the hell out of this building right now." I mean, seriously, how could that even be a discussion?
Yeah, number one, he has athletic traits that can't be taught, right? And probably can't be found in this particular draft. Maybe the Florida kid, right? But there's just not a lot of places where you can find the level of athleticism that Justin Fields has. You've also invested multiple years in him now, so you can't just like shake the Etch-a-Sketch every 2 years and say, "Nope, starting over," because we found another like shiny toy, right? You can't do that
for a team that can't find quarterbacks for decades.
Yeah. And you can also easily imagine, I don't know that premier receivers right now are going to be lining up to play with Justin Fields, but you can certainly imagine Justin Fields as the centerpiece of a team that dudes want to play for too, right? That is pretty easy to see. He's by absolutely all accounts, incredibly hard worker. Like say whatever you like about it, the sack rate was terrible.
Well, that's part of young and running quarterbacks.
Right.
They got to know, as Kenny Rogers would say, you got to know when to hold them, you got to know when to fold them. And running quarterbacks, that is a trick with them because they're so athletic. They always think they can make something happen, and a lot of times they end up running into sacks. That happens.
A lot of the time he does make the flip side of it is occasionally he'll rush for a 60-yard touchdown, right? Because he's the most athletic guy on the field at any given time. So, and that won't last forever. And he's put himself at risk, and we can have a discussion about running quarterbacks versus pure pocket passers and all that. But he's a huge talent who has every bit the right attitude. He's been a great citizen, right? Like, I don't know, everything about him he's super easy to root for. As a Bears fan, I'm still really excited about him. I don't think it was much of a topic of discussion. I mean, if you have a scout who's just banging the table for Bryce Young or CJ Stroud, I would get that too. They're good. But I can't imagine just walking back the years that you've now spent with Justin Fields and the
progressive years. Okay. Mm-hmm. Remember, that's why I brought up Zach Wilson. There's been no progression there. This has been progressive. You are getting better and better. So, like, what do you want? I expect him to become better next year. Now, if we get to the point that he can't fix his accuracy, then fine. But giving up on that kid now. Now, I will say this. This is one thing that you Chicagoans need to straighten that young man out, okay? All right? This dome shit has got to end, all right? like, yo, dude, this is why when you're in Buffalo, you want to play in the elements. This is why when you're in Miami, we want the heat and humidity in September and October. We want to see those guys sucking wind going, oh my God, this humidity is going and sucking the life out of me. That's what you want, dude. I mean, it's like the dumbest thing the Vikings ever did was go to a dome.
Right.
Stupid. Why is it called the frozen tundra? Because you don't want to go to Green Bay and November and December and January because it's going to be cold as hell there. Like, that's the one thing that I would tell Justin Fields. Like, I pull him aside, yo, kid, this is to our advantage. Wear something warmer. Let's go. Suck it up.
This is one of those things that becomes like a local government discussion too, right? Because there's a non-trivial number of people that want you to have, the type of facility where we can have a Super Bowl and we can have a Final Four and we can have all the stuff, but there is just something wonderful about having an outdoor stadium in the Midwest, and you get occasionally terrible conditions, but like you live in it and they don't, and it should be an advantage. In fact, it should, like, just somebody who's as gifted athletically and as fast and as quick cutting as Justin Fields is. It should be a huge advantage, like once or twice a year when you get in a snow game or you get in one of those monsoons that we will occasionally have by the Great Lakes.
Great point. Great point.
Should be an enormous advantage.
By the way, Chicago and Buffalo should build a dome. They should, but a retractable one. Because what you do, because the stupidity of this is you do have to build the dome if you're in those places, because this is what I'm going to tell you. So you have a snowstorm going on, right? But you're still going to play the game. Okay, so you have it closed until like 15, 20 minutes, half hour before the game. You open it up, let the elements in. That way your stadium is not snowed in by 15 feet of snow and you got to shovel it all out. This way you protect it, and this way you can have other events. You can do other things and hold other events because you do have the roof. But if you're Buffalo or you're Chicago, you unveil the roof, you take that thing out, you open it up half hour prior to games, no matter what the elements are. And that's it.
What a moment for fans in the stadium too, right? And we've never seen anything like that, really. Like, imagine it's 5 minutes before kickoff and you're comfortable in the dome and the opposing team is comfortable in the dome, and then all of a sudden that roof starts to come back. Oh my God, that would be so exciting.
Exactly. And then the elements come in, and then the Bears and the Bills are like, okay, this is what we practice in. All right, we're good. And then the Dolphins and the Falcons and the Texans and the Cardinals, and we're all freezing our asses off, going, God damn, this place sucks. Because that's kind of the way it's supposed to be. Just come on, kid, play to your elements, man. All right, let's get to the Lamar Jackson talk. Would you give him a fully guaranteed deal?
Along a different timeline than the one that he's looking at, I think I might. But I don't think it's reasonable for any team to give him everything he's asking for. This is one of those tricky conversations because, the reported offers that Baltimore has made, I don't find them shocking. I find them really reasonable and fairly generous, right?
Yeah, but he wants fully guaranteed and more money than Watson.
Which I also like. I respect what he's doing, and we talked about this before. Like, I get that somebody along the way is going to have to sort of lead the charge for NFL players to get more guaranteed money. It's wild that we're in this situation where the sport where they are at the greatest risk, and we talked about it with Jones and what he's said. Like, yeah, you really are at the greatest physical risk, and you have the least a percentage of guaranteed dollars. It's troubling. I would want all of it if I were Lamar, but I can't believe that they can't find a compromise position here, because I think that what Baltimore has apparently offered seems pretty in line with every contract except for Watson's. I would like to think that we'll see where the numbers come in for Jalen Hurts, who by the way has now taken a team further than Lamar Jackson has. Lamar can rightly point to
and he's become a better passer than Lamar. Let's be honest, please.
Oh yeah, with much better weapons. We'd like to see Lamar Jackson with an AJ Brown with receivers of the quality of Philadelphia's, but Jalen Hurts has already been the best player in a Super Bowl, arguably, right? So maybe those contracts shouldn't be exactly the same, because Jalen has accomplished something that Lamar has not.
I've seen him get better at that area in passing than the other guy.
Oh
does.
yeah.
I'm sorry. I've seen the other guy overthrow receivers all the time, and it has nothing to do with their names. They're wide open, and
if the number ultimately comes in for Jalen Hurts, and it's not, and there's a lot of non-guaranteed money in that deal. If there's something like 130 million guaranteed and an equal amount that is not guaranteed, I don't know. That doesn't seem outrageous to me. But it's just the problem is the Watson contract, but. You can't let one overly generous. The other complication, of course, in the Watson contract is he probably didn't want to be there, and in order to facilitate it, they had to give him all that guaranteed money. If Lamar truly wants to be in Baltimore, I can't believe that they're not going to find a compromise position. But no, to answer your original question, my offer would not be the Deshaun Watson contract. It would never reach that level either, I don't think.
Yeah, most of us that don't live in Cleveland, you're going to have to pay us a lot to live there. Sorry, Cleveland.
Yeah.
All right. Dolphins, they need a linebacker badly, my brother. I mean, badly. And this happens to be an offseason where there's going to be a boatload of middle linebackers available in free agency. Now, there's one that's a little hypothetical. I'm not big on hypotheticals. I don't like doing that, but I'm going to throw his name into this group. All right, so Jermaine Pratt from the Bengals, Bobby Wagner is available, Levante David's available, David Long Jr. still with some injuries, but he's also available, and Tremaine Edmonds, who still could be tagged, and but apparently the Bills now with these new contracts kicking in, and especially Allen's, they're going to be limited onto who they can actually keep. So there's some word that Edmonds is going to hit free agency. So your thoughts on, if you're the Dolphins, who's the middle linebacker you're going for that you think a guy like Vic Fangio would like? And you saw him coach in Chicago, so you know what he likes.
Yeah, one of the first of all, you need goes without saying at the linebacker position generally, but particularly when you think about what Fangio is really like. One of the it's not super splashy, but one of the traits that I think of when you think of a Vic Fangio defense is you're just not giving up huge plays, right? Like if you're gonna beat us, if you're gonna put up a number against this defense, you're gonna have to do it like small chunk.
Dink and dunk all the way down.
Yeah, he's just not going to give you 70 yards to the house. That just doesn't happen a lot. Reliable tacklers, couple of really reliable tacklers, sort of playing inside linebacker positions, and so when I think of that, I don't know, like maybe Edmonds is not the first name that comes to mind. I feel like he's been a little bit of a roller coaster, but he's younger than some of the other names on this list. If I'm the Dolphins and I just think I can win right now, and I do, right? Like I need to add a running back. I need to do some things, but I feel like I've probably got my quarterback. I've certainly got my receivers. I've got a lot of key pieces in place. Either David or Bobby Wagner makes a lot of sense.
I'm with you.
When Wagner and the Rams parted ways, you realistically, it sounded like maybe Wagner already had a destination in mind. Miami would seem to fit, like all the boxes you could imagine Bobby Wagner writing down. I think Miami checks him, so it's not going to surprise me if he's the guy.
And it's not a cap killer deal. He's not going to ask for, like Edmonds, you're going to have to pay him a lot of money. And like you said, he may not be the perfect fit. He's not like I know what you're doing. You're thinking Roquan, and you're going, who's more like Roquan in that defense? And Bobby Wagner is Roquan before Roquan. Right. In other words, Bobby Wagner is Roquan. Roquan is Bobby Wagner. So go get the guy that you could probably get for at least 2 years, because he's probably got 2 really good years left. Not a cap killer, and then you can turn it over, and maybe you can draft a young guy over the next year or two to kind of groom.
And I think Levante David certainly fits that fits
I agree.
some of that description as well. Plus, one of the big problems that you've got in the AFC over the next couple of years is at some point I have to get past the Chiefs, and I have seen Levante David not perfectly but imperfectly cover Travis Kelce and do a credible job doing it on the biggest stage in sports, right? And that would matter to me. Like that team is a problem. I think Miami's good enough that you need to think about the top of the AFC and how do I get past the Bengals and how do I get past the Chiefs and how do I get past the Bills, right? Like that's what I'm thinking about if I'm as good as the Dolphins are. I will also say that I think that Kazir White is a free agent as well, and he might be a bit of a consolation prize as a linebacker, but I don't think he's necessarily back with Philadelphia. And that guy's a tackler. Like that guy's I don't know, playing a couple of IDP leagues, so I can tell you that White has totaled over 250 tackles over the last 2 years. Like he's bankable. I don't think he's Bobby Wagner. I'm not saying that, but if if Bobby Wagner turns out not to be available to you, I think he's a really interesting name. I think he's a pretty steady force week in and week out.
What do you got working on Yahoo so folks can check you out, my friend?
So much fantasy baseball content going on right now. We're releasing all kinds of sleepers and position previews and mock drafts and all that usual baseball silliness. Also, the Fantasy Football Forecast podcast is going to continue all year round. I don't know when it's going to end. Maybe it'll never end, but it's certainly going to go fast and furious through draft season.
Football never ends, dude. I'm in the combine this week, and then free agency's about to start, and then we'll be getting ready for the draft. And then,
are you going to run a 40? Are we going to get the official measurables on Big O that we've been waiting for all these years?
I was thinking of doing it, but then Andy, everybody is going to be heartbroken when I do a 4-1. And then no one else. And then, and then teams are going to be asking me, hey, can you get in shape? And you might do a 3-9, that kind of stuff. So I don't want to put other people to shame by going over there and just, it's just not fair. They've been working all their lives. Me, I've been eating cheeseburgers and I'm going to go, overshadow them. That's just not right. That's just not right.
I need the vertical. I need to know the vertical.
Oh, yeah, I can sky. With the best of them.
Instead of a rabbit in front of you, they're going to have a cheeseburger and you chase
exactly. Yeah. That's how I run my race. Hell yeah.
Put the cheeseburger up on top of the 48-inch mark on the vertical leap thing, and you're
that's it. Follow him on Twitter at Andy Behrens and catch his work there at Sports. I keep saying at Yahoo Sports with our Sports Grill, Miami Dolphins, and NFL Report. Andy, as always, thank you, my friend. We'll catch up next week.
Thanks, Big O. Appreciate it. Have fun.
You got it. Definitely. Always. Thank you, my friend. Appreciate you. There you go. Andy Behrens, and it's Sports Grill. It's Monday. So today, Monday at Sports Grill, they got all kinds of things going on. The Kendall location, oh, baby, they got the milkshakes going on right now, the rock and roll music playing all night long. And today, the $7 single smash burger on Mondays. Tuesday, $2 tacos, chicken, beef, and fish. And on Wednesdays, listen, you buy an adult buys an entree, your kid eats for free. You're going to love that. Plus, they've got their hot sauces available to take home. The buffalo sauce, the Miami Heat, the blackberry, the barbecue, the Dale. They got them out there, and the Doral location is open. Sports Grill, baby. Check it out. 8 great locations, sportsgrill.com.
This is...
This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.